He splits up Yiddishkeit into these four categories. Asiyas HaMitzvahs is daimim. Dibur of mitzvahs is tzemech. So he looks at dibur as tzemech almost like daimim. And there's two madregas in kavanah. What are these two madregas in kavanah? I'll tell you what the madregas in kavanah are. The labels are dechilu rechimu tiviyim, yira and ava, which is natural, and dechilu rechimu sichlim, yira, which is intellectual. It happens to be the sugi that we're learning in Samach Hey. Iba Yenika Mech and Mutter Mugish Muskel talks a lot about it. I want to give you a short Agdama. It has two parts. Part number one. The Rambam says, what's the difference between people and animals? In Pisha Mishnais, he said this. He said, animals are Bal Pa'alecha Deshnei Pa'alam. Every animal has a nature. Some animals are kind, some animals are cruel, some animals are jealous, some animals are forgiving, some animals are reserved and withdrawing, other animals are aggressive and contentious and competitive. These are different traits. No animal has every emotion. Every animal is built into his hard drive a particular set of emotions. The Lashon Rambam is Bal Pa'alecha Deshnei Pa'alam. One character trait and two character traits. A human being, Adam. The word Adam means, like it says in Medrash Chazal, Shu koilul min al yenim min atachteinim. He's Bal Kol Pa'alam Kulam. Every human being has every emotion. You could be jealous, you could be forgiving. You can be competitive and you can be reticent. You can be withdrawing. Every human being has every emotion in his psyche. That's why Rambam says human beings can have bechira and animals cannot. This is Kvein Malchus Chataf Reish Samach, because in order to be able to have free will, you have to have every possibility, every disposition. On the other hand, every human being has a personality, has a nature. Teva, it's called. What's the word teva mean? It's from the word matbeah, which means a mint. Right? The Gemara says that before the baby is born, the neshama also cooks. Right? Just like the body has to cook, Tisha Chadashim Tisha Yachi Leda, the neshama also goes through an ibur, yeah? And there's a malach mamun al ha'irayin, all the neshamas go by on the way down. They go through the rechem, which is called Knesset Yisrael, Malchus Atzilus, and they come into this world. Kitznem and Tanya. Now, every single neshama, as it's passing through on the assembly line, there's a malach with a few stamps. And he stamps. Teva 1, Teva 2, Teva 3. Every person has a Teva. Some people have a Teva Chesed, some people have a Teva Gvur, some people have a Teva Netzach. We all have a personality. Our personality is animal-like. It gives us a specific number of characteristics. Just like an animal. What is the difference? Animals are only those characteristics. A human being has two layers. On the pneumistic level, if you can get to the neshama, a human being has kol apalam kulam. A human being can make himself feel an emotion which is totally against his quote nature. But on a more chitzoniistic level, we all have a teva like an animal. And as a result of this, when a yid serves the Eibishter, there's two madregas. The lower madrega is I serve Hashem using my teva. My teva is chesed, I love the Eibishter. The higher madrega is I use my brain to reach, to penetrate past my teva and to serve the Eibishter with the freedom of all the midas that I have based on what my mind dictates. These are two completely different madregas. In the Hemshech Samachei, it's called Yenike and Moichin, or Murgish and Muskel. Am I living according to my teva, but choosing to use my teva to serve Hashem as opposed to serve me? Or am I using my mind to break past the parameters of my teva and serve the Eibishter with the freedom of my whole personality using my seichel? These two personalities, this is going to be Tzemech and Medaber, and Medaber in the realm of Kavan. He says like this, there's two Madregas in Kavan. Madrega number one is the higher Madrega. Misha Daite Yofe, a person with a great mind. L'das at Hashem, and he has the capacity not just to understand Hashem, but to know and to feel the Eibishter. Uluzbein, the Yossi Yisbarach, and to meditate in the greatness of the Eibishter in a really deep way. And to create through the understanding an awesome fear of the Eibishter, a level of Yirei law, higher awe of the Eibishter in his mind. Of Abbas, loving the Eibishter in the right ventricle of the heart, should believe in his heart. That his soul should be thirsty for the Eibishter to attach itself to the Eibishter. And the only way it attaches to the Eibishter is through Torah and mitzvahs. Which brings down and reveals the infinite light of the Eibishter on his soul. To become attached to him. And using the kavana that one gets from his mind, that the mind is generating free emotions from the level where every human being has the possibility for every emotion. He's learning. The mitzvahs. Moreover, or in addition, bekavana zu, with this intent, mispalli davens, umavarech, and he makes a bracha, says the Alter Rebbe, hare kavana zu, this level of kavana, where he's breaking the hagbola of his teva, and he's getting to the fact that every neshama is bal kol ha'palam kulam, every human being has every emotion, and he intellectually says, I am picking to feel this mood today. It doesn't matter if it's my teva, not my teva, my etzem has every midah, and I'm going to feel any midah I wish. Says the Rebbe, kavana zu. This madrega one is al derech mashal, is for way of example, the soul of a person who could speak. Shu bal seichel, he's intelligent, or wise, ubechira, is free will, ubedas yedaber, and he speaks intelligently. This is the higher madrega. What's the pshat kavan of medaber? Kavan of medaber means I use my mind to express any emotion. My mind dictates whether it's according to my teva or it's against my teva. And now goes the lower madrega. Umi shadai tektzara. You're not that intelligent, and you don't have the capacity laid to know and to feel. Uli is bein to meditate, but also say Baruch Hu in the greatness of the Eibishter, lahelid ahava maybe nase, to arouse love from his understanding, but his gal sleep in a revealed way. V'chei nayira b'meiche, as well as awe in his mind, upachad that Hashem believe fear of Hashem in his heart. Now I just want to make an observation that by the higher madrege, what was the seder? Yiri lo b'meiche and avas Hashem b'chol ha'yamani. He didn't mention pachad b'chlal. Notice. Now what does he do? He mentions ahava first, right? Then he mentions yira, and he adds pachad. You see? This is a real diak. How come by the madrega of gadlus he says first yira and then ahava, and by the madrega of katnus is first ahava, then yira, then pachad, which he didn't mention before. Rak, nu. So if a person cannot use his mind to generate emotions from the base, from the level where he has kol ha'palam kulam, but rather he remembers and he arouses avat tivis, the natural love. And the natural love is based on the nature of the person. Which is concealed in the heart. And he brings it forward. From a hidden and a concealed state. Halev in the heart. I'll call part of the revelation, at least in the brain. This was discussed by Riches Tanya Perikutes. At least the will in his mind. And the Perik Tazayin also. At least the hidden recesses of his heart. Agreeing and willing. With full concurrence. Be'emes lamite, in absolute truth. Limse nafshe bepeil mamish, to sacrifice his life actually. In other words, readiness to die al kiddush Hashem, al yichad ad Hashem, on the oneness of God. Kedei, in order, ledaf gebei, to attach to him, to the Eibishter. Nafshe lekis, his godly soul, ulvushan, his garments. Ulekololon, and to make himself one, and not just his soul, but his body and his garments. B'yichudei v'achdusei, in the oneness of Hashem. The Alter Rebbe discussed this in Sof Perek Lamed Aleph. Shuratz in the Eli, which is the will of Hashem. Hamalubish b'Talmud Torah, which Eibishter is in Talmud Torah, learning Torah, overcame, and mitzvahs, and doing the mitzvahs, canal, and so forth. V'gam, in addition to the fact that he has a natural love for the Eibishter, and this love for the Eibishter makes him willing to die al Kiddush Hashem, and this kavanah is invested in his Yiddishkeit. Hayira klula ba. This was discussed in Sof Perek Yates. It includes also Yira. In other words, that because of the Teva of a Yid, it's possible that he will kabul malchusei, should accept the yoke of heaven, shall limit bechas Hashem, not to rebel against the Eibishter. Ubekavana zu, and with this combined kavanah of the ahava tivis and the Yira tivis, who sur merav eisetev, he stays away from evil and does good. And he learns, and he davens, and he makes brachas, with Pirish Mils alone, without revealing fully Ava Yira, but he just has it in his brain. It says, this level of intent is al derech moshok min nishmas achai. Is by way of analogy like the soul of an animal. He doesn't have any wisdom, doesn't have any initiative and any choice. Of all of his emotions. Being afraid of things which hurt him. And his love for things which are favorable to him. This is his nature. His nature is to love, his nature is his fear. He's not using his understanding and his knowledge to create intellectually based emotions that come from the freedom of a human being kol ha'palam kulam, but rather he's operating through his nature. And within the perimeters of his nature, there's this ava and this yira. The natural to him, not to his understanding and his knowledge. To him is also true. Hayira, the awe, and the love, ativis, which is natural, which is hidden in the collective Jew. Notice the words Kol Yisrael again. Our inheritance from our office. It's a nature in us, we discussed earlier. So the particular nature of a person is to have certain dispositions. The general nature of a Jewish people which inherit from the Avos is to have Ava Mesuteres and Yidden Mesuteres. The underlying point is, I am not using my mind to create emotions, I'm simply revealing my natural emotions. Whether it's my natural limitations of emotions, or it's the nature of my neshama, which is based on the fact that every Jew has a pintel Yid which loves the Eibishter. The constant is, I am using my teva to serve Hashem and not my mind. These two levels would be called the chilu or the chimu tivim, yir and av, which comes from the nature of a person, the restriction of the nature, and the chilu or the chimu tzichlim, yir and av, which comes from the mind. The mind doesn't have yir and av, but the mind can look at the whole panorama of the neshama, and the neshama is bal kol palish kulam, palim kulam. So even something which is outside my nature, I have it on my core, my etzim, and I can bring it forward. So the Rebbe says, Yiddishkeit can be divided up into demitz mecha medaber. And there's two things you have to know about this demitz mecha medaber. On the one hand, any level of Yiddishkeit is blias upon him klal. There's blias upon him in asiyah. There's blias upon him in dibur. There's blias upon him in a kavan of avamsteres tivis, avativis. There's blias upon him in avasichlis. At the same time, they're four madregas. An act of a mitzvah is daimim. A dibur of a mitzvah is tzemeach. The kavan of a mitzvah which is based on my nature is chai, and the kavan of a mitzvah which is based on my mind, this is medaber. And the mitzvah metabara shir. The Rebbe is going to compare it to different things, malachim and neshamas Yisrael. The shir I gave you this morning, I want to modify a little bit. He says that there's daimim tzemeach chai medaber. It's the end of Peter Lametches. So the daimim tzemeach chai medaber. Daimim is asiyah. Tzemeach is dibur. Chai and medaber are two madregas in kavana. Chai is a madrega of the chilur chimus tivim, serving Hashem with ava v'yira based on teva. And medaber is the chilur chimus sichlim, serving Hashem with his bond based on ava. Seichel is made of some yiras. So I want to say that it seems to me that in the inyan of the chilur chimus tivim, the idea that a yid serves Hashem with the midas of his teva, and it's therefore an inyan of chai and not medaber. I think that the Alter Rebbe is meramas to three things. Three different inyanim included in teva. Number one, the point I told you this morning. Will you serve Hashem according to your nature? You're not changing your nature. Number two, you're serving Hashem. You do His bonus, and you cannot reveal the midas. The midas remain what's called talumas tvunas meich and talumas libay. It's hidden in the mind and the heart. You know, full-blown emotions, which we discussed by Arichas and Tanya Perek Tazayin. That's also the chilur chimu tivim, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tezayin, he repeats it here. And the third inyan is Ava Mesuteres, which is discussed in Tanya Perek Yudches. And that's at the end of the Perek, the last few lines, where he says, B'leiv klolus Yisrael, Hey Yerushalayim Aviseinu. The idea that a Yid is a pintel Yid, and when you serve Hashem with a pintel Yid, it's a Mesiras Nefesh power, and it's infinite, as Alter Rebbe explains here, Bekitz and Imretz, and he brings from Tanya Perek Yudches, Nichol Bagam, the Chilu, and so forth. The bottom line is, it's thinking from Teva, you're not creating this Ava through your Seichel, your Teva. So it seems to me that when the Rebbe talks about the Chai Madrega of the four, Deim Tzmei Chai Medaber, so Chai includes serving Hashem with your midas based on a weak Seichel, has three aspects. Number one, you're serving Hashem within the Teva, the midas of your Teva, you're not changing your Teva. It's midas based on your personality and not real Seichel midas. Number two, when the midas are hidden and not revealed. And number three, the Pintli Adavim Seteres. And the Chilur, Chimus Sichli means you're using your brain to reveal midas, and especially Sichli is the midas. In other words, as I explained to you this morning, where you're not serving Hashem within your nature, you're breaking past your nature to serve Hashem with your Seichel. So I wanted to complete the shir that we had this morning. Now, I think this was a very, very